I mean, would you just agree broadly? Like, is Nick Fuentes and the America First movement racist?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so?
No. And I think what you mean by sticking it to the establishment is just like the status quo. It's like it pushes interracial. And, just 50 years ago, there were people holding signs, keep segregation, black and white
Right, but
people.
isn't that what Nick and the America First movement? I'm just gonna call them the Groypers to just shorthand. Isn't that what the
Yeah.
Groypers are saying now to go back to separatism and segregation? Like the reason I hate the far left woke shit is because they're advocating for separating the races in different dorms, and we need to separate white and black people for HR training and stuff like that. It's like,
But I I think
that's what
that's
the Groypers are just doing. Except, Andrew Wilson from the Crucible said it best. It's like the Groypers are just leftists with a race preference. It's like,
yeah, I guess, but the left is more like doing it on like affirmative action and like equity and economically. What we're talking about is just we know how humans behave. We know people are have an affinity towards people. Me and you speaking right now, like I don't speak the same way you do. I can't understand certain things you've gone through because
well, but
of
that's true of everyone individually, right? Like, it's not it's
yeah,
like, yeah,
but
you're black and I'm white, but like again, to make any assumptions about, oh well, because you're black you must have experienced these things and you must think these things, and because I'm white I must have experienced these things and think those
well,
things. It's like that's racist. That's to say that people in different races need to or naturally separate and or naturally have affinity for each other. It's like in-group bias is always a thing, but
yeah.
I always go with the example of like I have a minor in gender studies, of course, and
Hmm.
I went into a class and it was all women except for one dude. It was a black dude with a Bears hat. I'm from Chicago. I'm like, I didn't even think. I just sat down next to him and we hung out and did all our projects together all semester. It's like me and him had more in common because we were male than and I think there's a far more difference between male and females than there are different races. I think biological differences between.
Yeah, and I think culture plays a big part because when I was in high school, I mean, the black kids sat with the black kids, the Colombians sat with the
Sure.
Colombians, the Mexicans sat with the Mexicans, and I've always noticed these things intuitively, but I never really paid attention to it because I was
Yeah, but
born in I was born in the early '90s, and it's like from day one we're beat inclusivity, we're all the same, all of
sure,
this,
but
so
don't you think that's changing? Like I definitely. I mean, like I just moved, so I'm still making friends in my new area. But like I people from work are black and Indian and Asian and whatnot. It's like the idea that we would not sit together during lunch, or that I would base my associations based on race. Do you still think people do that do you think
um
most people do that most of the time? And
yeah,
you
but I
could
don't.
you could be right. I genuinely don't know. I'm just asking your experience.
I would say yeah, just because I don't think it's a conscious thing they do. They just do what makes them feel comfortable. Like if you like I don't know where you're from, but did you grow up
Suburban
in
Chicago, a wealthy suburb of Chicago, which I think Nick
and
Fuentes is from suburban Chicago, and
yeah, he
Charlie
is.
Kirk. I know it's the worst.
And
God damn it! I hate that that's true, but yeah,
and I mean, you're going to be more inclined to be around people who are around there the regardless of race.
sure. Regardless of race, yeah,
But that's just for you. And like what Nick talks about is like voting patterns nationwide, race on a nationwide level more than because I'm pretty sure back in like during segregation there would be times where black and white people would come together and I guess break the law on an individual level, but like nationwide there were housing areas and there were areas
yeah,
specifically for
but
whites, specifically for blacks, and there were less crime in each because they were they were
sure.
white and they were black.
I can. I definitely get that when you look at like macro trends or social trends. That's one conversation. I guess my confusion and my curiosity is, again, like when the Groypers say like race mixing is degenerate. That's less to do with, that's not voting patterns. That's not looking at sociological analysis and the Robert Putnam type stuff, diversity. Like to me, that's a very moral
Yes.
it's immoral in my opinion, but it's a claim about morality, you know, and that's the stuff that I just am like the fact that you and I are talking and, you know, being able to exchange it, like you and I simply by being willing to have a conversation are already closer together than, you know, the people who would say free speech is evil. And even though I'm white and you're black, we're both males, so technically we don't have a female perspective, and even if we did have a female perspective, we wouldn't have a, you know, a transgender perspective.
Yeah, and
there's people that, you know,
I just think that because men are just more detached and more impersonal, so like we can say things that we agree or disagree, and I don't want to shout at you just because we disagree.
Right, but so doesn't isn't that one piece of evidence that like beliefs and values are far more important than race? Like race is literally irrelevant as long as we have the same values, right?